just a standard bed for them.
Yeah. I think it's tiny, so I don't know if it will help you as a tread.
Right. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you'd be able to put it anywhere anyway. But
Yeah.
But even if it makes holding easier,
I don't know, because I'm going to need to think.
Remember when I landed on my heels when I fell off Guinness? There's a bee.
Yeah, I'm going to take off now. I'll just keep flying me. No,
Good afternoon
just when I need to go.
and welcome to Doune HillClimb. For this, the practice session. Good afternoon and welcome to Doune HillClimb. For this, the practice sessions for our competition tomorrow, which will see rounds of the British Hillclimb Championship, the British Hillclimb Cup, the British Hillclimb Top 10 Challenge, Top 10 Tin Top Challenge, plus rounds of the Guyson Scottish Hillclimb Championship and the Lowland and Highland Speed Championships. So a lot of points to be gained from various competitions tomorrow. But this is the third practice run for the cars which are appearing here tomorrow during the day. We've had 2 runs this morning from them already, and we have a couple of sets of drivers you'll see. First of all, we have currently on the hills. Hill are the runners in the interclub competition, mainly Scottish Championship runners, but also a few visitors from England, many of them first timers, and they are those who hold an interclub license and therefore cannot take part in the national championship meeting tomorrow. So a few of those interclub runners, and then we'll have the national drivers after that. So what you're seeing now is John Shirley in his Ferrari 355, who runs in Class A8 in the Mark Road Sports Car class. My name is John Brown. I'll be with you today and tomorrow, and hopefully some good action. We've got lovely sunny weather today. The forecast for tomorrow is not so good, so we could see some rain apparently tomorrow, so we'll just have to wait and see what turns out when we come back here. If you follow the British Hillclimb Championship, many of the names will be familiar to you. After practice, first 2 runs this morning, the quickest practice time was set by Sean Gould in the Gould GR59 with a 36.93, still a good 2 seconds away from the Hill record. Second in practice was Wallace Mingus with 37.30, and third championship leader Matt Ryder with 37.36. Mill Hall was close behind the 37.41, and the first of the smaller engine cars, David Warburton, with a 37.72. So currently on the screen and just gone past you on the hill is Rob Kinghorn and his Mazda, an additional entry to the programme, a newcomer to the hill. And he's followed up by Peter Wheeling in his lovely Golf livery, the blue and orange Mini. And the third car, which just started the hill, is Thomas Rapson. It says he's a Subaru Impreza. He was a Subaru Impreza this morning, but having an issue has now transferred to his father's Audi for this afternoon. His father's also competing here as number 84. If you're here on the hill and you have a programme, then these runners and riders are on pages 10 and 11. No, not, sorry, that's the national entry. The interclub entry is surprisingly behind. After them in the programme, they're on page 16 and 17 for the interclub entrance. So John Brewster is finishing his run there. His son Ewan is the sole runner in our junior class. Ewan started HillClimbing last year and has gradually got quicker and quicker. His record for the junior class is 58.59 and in practice he's down to 59.22. So that's the car 772, the first car on the hill tomorrow morning. Campbell Gordon finishing off his run. His son Jody, class record holder in class A1. On page 16 there's an error in the programme. If you've got the programme, Gary Dixon did not set that record in April. It was in fact Jody Gordon. So that's the end of a batch at the moment, and they are now returning to the paddock. Tomorrow we will give, obviously during the competition runs, give you full timing details so you can keep your own record at home or fill it in the programme. We won't bore you with all the practice times, but if there's any significant ones, then I'll give them a mention. We've got a number of newcomers to the hill here this weekend, some up from England for the first time. But we also have a few non-starters following recent weekends. It's been a very busy time of the season. This is the third weekend in a row for some of the drivers. They competed in the National Championship at Shelsley Walsh 2 weeks ago, and a number of them also competed last weekend at Lowton Park in the Midland Championship, and then coming up here to compete in the Nationals here at Doune. You know, the Scottish runners have recently had rounds at Forestburn, so it's very intense time during the summer months for the hill climbing fraternity. As usual here at Doune, the meeting is organised by the Lothing Car Club with support of the marshalling side from the Scottish Motorsport Marshal Club. who have been going now for over 50 years, and started off with a few people getting together to formalise marshalling in Scotland, and it's grown into a very successful Scottish marshals, not just in Scotland but across the UK and various events as well. Message from HillClimb Ross on the internet live chat to good luck to Rob and Johnny Doune from Stroud. Well, this is their first time here at Doune. Rob in a Morgan +8 and Johnny in a Little Fisher Fury. So the red flags up the hill are coming in, which means the next batch of cars should be being sent off up the hill very shortly. We don't often do commentary here on the Saturday at Doune, but with the live stream going out across the world, I decided we should go and talk to people who are tuning in from, I believe we've got some from Argentina tuning in, so hello to those in Argentina and those in France. Thank you for joining the stream today. As we will be obviously doing it again tomorrow, but consider today as a bonus. So we're still in the inter-club class. This is number 77, Malcolm McDonald, an unusual car to see in the hill, a Citroen C2. In fact, it'll be followed up by another unusual car, number 871, who's Colin Robertson in an MG3. Just shows you can come hill climbing in any car you like. I've already seen a Honda Jazz, MZZ, MGZR, Datsun Cherry even, so don't be ashamed to bring out your road going car onto the hills if you can get yourself organised, get a licence, find out which class your car would be best suited to, and you're on your way. Oh, Malcolm John's a bit wide at the top of East Bray there. But just two wheels on the grass. And round the new Amco barrier on the inside of the last corner and across the finishing line. Heavy lock up there from Colin Robertson into East Bray. Jesse was still too quick and ran right at the top of East Bray. So the Bears getting a bit of bashing there from Colin, but he's safely through, just stayed on the tarmac at the last corner and over the finishing line. Colin Graham approached the top of the hill in this lovely Opel Ascona. Colin, more recently seen in an OMS and single seaters, but now for this year trying out this Opel Ascona. So the Opel and Mark Rennie's Fiesta there, and the MG before that, all in the saloon labour class. Now the first of our runners in the national classes, and first runner surprise to regular watchers, Richard Weaver. Richard and Tom not in the single seater this weekend, but in their Tom's sister Lizzie, her Citroen Saxo. So the Weavers in a class by themselves, Class A1. In addition to the programme, so Richard is 734, Tom is 34, and they're Class A1. So there's a small batch of double-driven cars going up at the moment. Interspersed, a couple of double-driven cars in the national class there, interspersed into the local interclub entry. We've just seen Michael Bartlett in his Radical Passport, all the way up from Corsham, a newbie here at Doune. Then we have the last two of our interclub entry. The single seaters of Leslie Sheridan and Tom Graham. 140 Charlie Forsyth, 104 is a non-starter, as is Steve Bryant in the Ford Falcon, I'm afraid. So you won't see the large Ford Falcon filling the hills on the way to the hill. Now another double-driven car, now is Laura Wardle in the Porsche that she shares with Jonathan Williamson. This is their 40th year of sharing this particular car, and their 42nd sharing cars together. Into the first of the national single-seater entries, that's Morgan Hamer in the 600cc OMS Hornet. Morgan sharing that car with his cousin Archie Kerr. Morgan and Archie, both teenagers. They started off in the junior class, certainly in junior class in sprinting, before moving on to OMS Hornet. You'll see their father and uncle in the next class up, and Tommy Rapson runs a bit wide at the top of his spray into the groove being worn there in the last few cars recently, so he is safely up to the top of the line. As I say, that car now being shared with Thomas Rapson as well. Now we've got Craig Nichol in the Caterham. Craig, the class record holder in Class B, set 11 years ago now, that class record, 43.59. He had a 48.91, and then he had a problem and took over 100 seconds, so he'll be trying to get another good practice run in here. And that's a better time for Craig Nichol. That's a 45.96. And so that's another badge finished. Hello to Crumpets212 watching on the stream. Well, he's waiting for the Nürburgring 24-hour to begin. So we have a contrast here between the hill climbing, 45 seconds approximately, and 24-hour racing. So I hope you enjoy both of them. I'm not sure whether that's a compliment or not on the stream from Eric Lausch. Doune is the farmer's Monaco, or Monaco, even how to pronounce it. We'll take it as a compliment. The replay coming up on screen. Running by Dixon, coming up at the junction, running wide, hitting the barrier on the outside and back on track again. Another one here. I think this one is, yeah, it's a Porsche going off the top of East Bray. And we already had Michael King in the Mazda had a tank slap after the finish line. So as you see more cars going off wide at East Bray, start to see how close cars are getting to the edges. It's certainly the top of the last corner out of the last corner has been quite tricky today, but here's Gary Dix again, just rubbing the barriers on the way to junction. As I said, this is the third practice run. If they all behave themselves, it's quite possible there will be a fourth practice run, depending how the time goes. Picture of the start line on screen there, which shows the current state of the trees, but 50 years ago when the hill opened, obviously there was nothing there at all. In fact, it's up to 58 years now, I think it is. 1967 the hill opened. 1968 the hill opened. So 57 years ago. And we've got somebody watching from Western Australia. So hello, Ross Holland. I guess it must be early morning for you over there. So here's Kevin Dodd on the hill. And it's Wizards Elite. So Kevin is actually Matt Ryder's father-in-law. So keeping the hill climbing in all parts of the family. And he followed up by Johnny Toone. Now I spoke to Johnny earlier because at Doune 2 weeks ago he had an issue. He broke a CV joint and has been unable to find one exactly to match it. So they've cobbled one together and they're hoping it'll stay together for the weekend. That's Johnny Toone and the Fisher Fury. Kevin does it in the class by himself, Class A2, on page 10 of the programme. Richard Anderson, non-starter. And after Johnny and the Fisher, here's Robert, his father, in the Morgan. The contrast father, Tom Weaver, in the Citroen Saxo. Just got a glimpse of some blue smoke there from Tom Weaver leaving Garden Gate, so caused a bit of heavy braking, but he's well on the way to the top of the hill, no problems. John picking the hill with his AMS road tyre, basically a Subaru with a sports car base, sports car body, so 4-wheel drive, turbocharged engine, very effective in the wet. The marshal's just sweeping at the top of East Bray there. John McKenzie being given a red flag. Yeah, so John McKenzie just cruising up towards Junction, where I presume he'll be turned round and sent back down for his rerun. Yep, John reversing into the escape road, you would say, at Junction. Did actually go up to a farm further up there. So tomorrow we will have not just the British Hillclimb Championship run-offs for the fastest 12 entrants in the British Hillclimb Championship. We also have the first of this season's top 10 challenge trophy rounds, or the first 2 rounds tomorrow, when again the top 12 tin tops will compete for the 10 points down to 1 for top 10 places. We've only got 13 tin tops entered here, I think, tomorrow. So if you see cars like this Lotus Cortina, it's quite likely that it will be in the tin top runoff tomorrow as well. John McKenzie, having had that red flag, is on his way up the hill. Coming up shortly will be this amazing Mitsubishi Lancer of Donald McCaskill. The current record holder for Class C4. Donald McCaskill is 4-wheel drive Mitsubishi Lancer. C4 is actually a new class this year. We've separated out from Class C3 the 4-wheel drive cars to give the 2-wheel drive cars a chance to win Class C3. The Class C3 is over 2 litres 2-wheel drive, while Class C4 is all C4 cars very capacity 4-wheel drive. So Donald McCaskill, his record was set in the old C3, transferred through to C4 at a 44.58. He's not far away with it today, 46.04. Camera here today here at Doune. This is top half of the hills. This is Alan McDonald. High view from the Force SR4. Lots of trees at the bottom part, not quite so easy to pick up the in-car camera, but we should have some in the top half of the hill. Class now, the 630cc pre-1994 Formula Ford. 3 cars, 6 drivers this weekend, and we've got the first of the double drivers, Paul Harris, and then Becca Crocombe, who regularly seen marshalling down at Gerson Down, her first visit here to Doune. Very excited to be here, and then she's more than Lindsay Summers. For the Ford class, currently led by Jimmy Harris, Paul Harris' son. This is Becca Crocombe's first time. She and her co-driver was Marks. It's the first time for both of them here. So I take it easy learning the hill today. And watch out for this car coming up, Simon Bainbridge in the amazing chrono. Win the leader of the top 10 top challenge last year, and a regular contender in the British Sprint Championship. So the Corona fills the track here at Doune, particularly the lower half of the hill. He's a very quick driver and will put some good points on the board tomorrow in the top 10 challenge. 4.2 litre turbocharged Audi engine in that car. Hello to Wayne Penrose. I believe you're here, Wayne, this year without the car, unfortunately. But good to know you're here at Doune. Watching the practice live. We'd love to see your car back here again in the future. For those who were here last year, you may remember Wayne's amazing Volkswagen Beetle. So it's the end of a batch as Matthew Price goes to the top of the hill in his Radical. Sorry to hear some of you online are having trouble hearing the commentary. I'll have a word with public address people or the streaming people to see if we can solve the issue. Obviously some of you are, some of you aren't, so it's maybe a speaker problem rather than a microphone problem, but let's see what we can do for you. One reason why we're coming on this afternoon, we need the practice as well as the cars and drivers. So here comes Joy Doune down the hill. If you get a good enough momentum down here, you'll get across the flat part of the meadow. And then once you get to junction, it's all downhill from there, more or less. So that's the second time, in fact, Joy's had to be pushed or towed back down, so hope there's not a big issue with that car. So as I was saying earlier, the Class A1 in the Interclub entry, actually 7 entries in that class today, and Gary Dixon is currently on a 52.22 for his best practice time. It's only 1300ths away from the class record, which is set back in April by Jody Gordon, who currently lies second. But now Jody and Campbell, his father, have been experimenting today with a variety of suspension settings. So hopefully we're getting it down to somewhere where they're confident of, and can get their times improving throughout tomorrow. Johnny Toune's car just rolling down towards the first corner. And the tow truck is now back in position, and we should be getting underway with the next batch of cars very shortly. On the hill is Andrew Patterson in this well-known car here in Scotland, the PCD Saxon, who used to be driven by Steve. Used to be driven by Steve Marr, but Andrew Patterson has taken it on this season. And also, if you haven't trouble hearing the commentary, I'm sitting very close to the start line, and so my voice may disappear into the background sometimes. Andrew Patterson in his PCD Saxon, new to him. You've seen quite often in a Formula Ford, and also in the last couple of years a Porsche single-seater. The Gary Warren in his Empire is followed up by Richard Matossian in the car which holds the class record here, which was set back in 2019 by Robert Kenrick. This is the BMW engine GWR Raptor. Kenrick in 2019 set records all across the country in this car, and then Richard's now getting into grips with it and having some good times. It was a unique car, being the only 1100cc car with a BMW engine, but As they're joined by the Hamer brothers, who have a BMW engine in the OMS. This 11 CT class, always very competitive. Currently led by Gary Warren from Richard McTossian. But here's Will Hamer, who's currently the third quickest in practice so far. And he stayed that place. This is actually Tom Morgan in number 41. Tom and Steve Morgan. Steve was up in number 741. This is Tom in number 41. Yes, the 1100cc class this weekend. It's normally fought out between Tom Weaver and Stuart Bickley, but both drivers non-starting here this weekend, so a new winner of the 1100cc class for this season. Tomorrow, as at the moment, it's Gary Warren from Richard McTossian, Will Hamer, Jonathan Fletcher and Ben Hamer. Unfortunately, also the other quick driver, Dave Tatham from Yorkshire. He has had one practice run but had an issue with the car, and we haven't seen him again today. So we'll know tomorrow will it start or not, but you may not see Dave tomorrow either. And that is the Formula Ford's all been up now for their third run, and Jimmy Harris leads the class. And a 48.5 from Sarah Bosworth, 51.04, and Paul Harris, 54.6. So Nicola Mingy's on the hill in the Gould GR55. And Nicola will be followed up by Sean Gould, who's currently the fastest runner here so far today in the Gould GR59. So Sean's a 36.93 in his second practice run, which is still 2 seconds away from the hill record. Car he shares with Matt Ryder. Says it's personal best at the moment, I think, for today. No, it's a bit slower, I think, than that 36.9. No, it's not. It's 36.68. It's amazing how quick these cars are over the last few meters. So 36.68 for Sean Gould, and that's the end of that batch of cars. And there's one more batch of cars to go, and that will be the end of the third practice run. If you're watching on screen, you'll just have seen a replay of Michael King having a good tank flapper coming out of the last bend at the top of the hill a short while ago. A question here, Steve Owen, and Steve Owen is sharing with Simon Andrews today at Gurston, number 711. Number 11 will be Simon Andrews. Another question further up was that a Marcus? That was from David Barnes. I think he talked about the Fisher Fury, which we saw being toward the top of East Bray. It's actually a Fisher Fury. I think that's what you're asking about, David Barnes. So here at Doune, we do attract drivers from all over Great Britain to come and compete. On the hill now is Ian Tucker, who's all the way up from Newquay in Cornwall. Ian Tucker all the way from Newquay in Cornwall. You also soon see Alex Coles from Plymouth. Jeff Tremlow, who saw the Subaru earlier, he's up from Hale in Cornwall. Jonathan Williamson, the Porsche from Taunton, and you get people like Gary Dixon coming down from Caithness. And look at this car on the hill. If you're at the hill, look out for Jonathan Varley in the GWR Predator, the ex-Graham White Junior car, which Sean's been running for a few years now. Winner of the British Hillclimb Championship, the British Hillclimb Cup. Running a 2-litre Terry Davis V8 at the moment. Originally, when Graham built it, he had an Arid V10 Formula 1 engine in it. But the car is beautifully presented and very fast in Jonathan Varley's hands. 37.45. I'm looking now for Alex Coles on the hill. Alex Coles in the Force TA 1.3 supercharged engine. Alex Coles across the line there. 37.33 is the third quickest runner here today. Goes above Matthew Ryder in practice time so far. Alex Coles just 300 slower than Wallace Mingies in that supercharged Force TA. Alex, who holds the Formula Ford class record here, which is from 3 years ago. He then moved out to a 2-litre normally aspirated car, and is now, for the last couple of seasons, been sharing this car generally with Kelvin Broad, who owns the car. But Alex now here this weekend by himself in a small class of 4 cars, all of which could easily qualify for the top 12. And coming to the line now, Paul Hames, number 10, 10th in the championship last year. In a turbocharged 1300, Gould GR59. Oh dear. Paul got a real twitch on there just after the first corner. Good deal of correction in the steering there to avoid the barrier from Paul Hames at the first corner. And he carried on up the hill as if nothing happened. I'm sure his heartbeat went up a bit there. He has a slow time for Paul Hames, 39.59. And on the hill now is Stuart Sugden in the GWR Raptor, running this year with a turbocharger as well. He's at 37.54, which is up into 8th overall, I think, in 7th overall. But we've got a red flag at the moment. So a 37.54 for Stuart Sugden. Alex Combs at 37.33. And it was a scary one for Paul Hames at 39.59. We'll see in replay now. If you're watching online, look out for this save. And just as we get another replay in slow motion this time here, Paul going very close to barrier. Oh, maybe the rear wheel maybe just slightly grazed the barrier on the left hand side, but that was very, very close to a big one. The problem for many of the top drivers this year is the lack of new tyres available to them. Since Avon stopped producing tyres when their factory was closed down by their parent company Cooper Tyres, the supply of Avon tyres has obviously been reduced, and the manufacturing has not restarted of HillClimb suitable tyres by the replacement company called Nova Tyres, who are setting up a facility in Portugal. So you'll find that currently the runners are a variety of tyres from Avon, Hoosier. I think Richard Matonsian's still running Pirellis, and the Hamer brothers are in Goodyears. So a variety of tyres in the single-seater classes, but certainly some of the top runners are finding the wear, obviously, the tyres is going to start causing is causing big issues with them, and new tyres have been promised, but not until August. So they will have to hang on for a few more rounds before they can get their hands on some new tyres if August date is adhered to. Just have a check of the barrier up there further up the hill. Car is now back down. I think we should get the next car started very quickly. And it's Jack Cottrell in the Dallara. Jack currently hasn't set a time in the top 15 even of the runners, but that's a far better time, 38.89. Dave Duran, number 6, and the ex-Martin Groves Gould GR55B that he shared with Nicola Mingies. Next of our top runners, Trevor Willis, 3-time champion in the OMS 28. Time for Dave ends at 38.72. He's still 9th fastest at the moment in practice. They're still allowed to do tyre warm-ups here before the start line, and if you're sitting next to the start line, you can always tell as well as Mingies, the loudest car of the top runners. And it's 3.3 engine, stretched version of the Cosworth XD. Saying that, he just lost the engine there, but it started up again, and it's lost it again. Time for Trevor Willis, by the way, was 38.21. And rolls his way this time. That's a 37.7 Wallace, not his quickest of today. Will Hall and his Gould. Unfortunately, no Alex Summers here this weekend. Alex is having a part-time season only this year. A new father, so he's spending more time at home. I said Alex Summers, a new father, spending more time at home, so only really doing the rounds in the Midlands of the championship. Time for Will Hall is a 36.61, and that's the quickest of the day. Yeah, Will Hall goes to the top of the tree. Matthew, a really good start there, Matthew Ryder. 1.98 seconds for the first 64 feet, but not as close to the others now. It's 37.26 for Matthew, which still leaves him in fourth position at the moment after practice. 37.26. No, he's third in fact, third position. And here's Stuart Robb in the type of car which was dominant in hill climbing 30 years ago. It's one of the Pill Beams. It's the Pill Beam MP57. 2.8 litre half engine in this car. Actually running in Class N for cars up to 1990. And that is 44.65, which is well, it's a couple of seconds below the record for that class, so maybe we'll see a record for Stuart tomorrow when the time runs begin. So Stuart Robb 44.65. The record is George Cohill's 46.82. And that is the end of the third practice run. Getting ready, we're into the fourth practice runs with Thomas Rapson. Now driving the Audi rather than his own Subaru Impreza. Thomas Rapson leading the way on the fourth practice runs. So a bit more entertainment for you here on the live stream and in the public on the hill. Overall fastest time of the day in the practice so far, Will Hall a 36.61, from Sean Gould 36.68, Matthew Ryder 37.26, Wallace Mingus 37.30, Alex Coles 37.33, Jonathan Varley 37.45. And the top 12 runners would be, the rest of the top 12 runners, if this was qualification tomorrow, would be Stuart Sugden, David Warburton, but David, having been seen, he had a fail the second run, didn't appear in that run. We'll find out overnight what the problem is with David's car. David Duran, Trevor Willis, Jack Cottrell, Paul Hames. So again, Jack Cottrell only took 2 practice runs as well, but we did see him there on that last set of runs. So there we've had, in that batch, the first 5 runners of the fourth practice run, starting off the Ewan Bruce. And then Judy Gordon is a 52.23 in that practice run, which is very close to the time that Guy Dixon did, which is a 52.22. So those two are having their usual battle at the top of the A1 class in the Scottish Championship. Some discussion I see online about the length of the track here at Doune. In fact, there have been 3 lengths of the track here at Doune. The original length, a short track which started after the first corner. That was for just 3 years between 1974 and 1976. The start line was actually just about where Paul Hames nearly hit the barrier a few minutes ago. Just after the first corner. The start line was there for 3 years before it moved down to its current position as from 1977. And the first run-off on the current track was won by Alison Douglas Osborne in 42.18 compared to the current hill record of 35.97. Or even 34.91. Sorry, 34.91 is the current record. 34.91, so 7 plus seconds quicker than 1977. So hill climbing does bring out a variety of cars. One of the classes where that's obviously more often seen is the road saloons up to 1400. And here we have a Honda Jazz, which will followed by a Rover Mini, an MG ZR, a Datsun Cherry, a Peugeot 205 and a Vauxhall Corsa. This is Ian Wright in the Honda, it's followed by John Hamilton in the Mini. So the class currently led by Gary Dixon from Jody Gordon, Campbell Gordon and John Bruce. So coming to the line is Gary Dixon, quickest in practice so far by 100th of a second in this class. Rattle the barriers in his last practice run. Gary Dixon, a 51.93. 51.93, which if he repeats it tomorrow, would be a new class record. Unfortunately, you can't set a class record during practice, so he has to go and do all that again tomorrow during the 2 timed runs that he has in the competition proper tomorrow. But a 51.93 for Gary Dixon. And the car on hill, the Alexander Reed, is the Luego Mark II. Interesting because it's got a rotary engine, presumably a Mazda engine of 2.6 litres. An unusual car, the Luego. Never seen one apart from this one before. But even more interesting because it's got a rotary engine. John Walsh in Westfield, number 86, also the turbo engine in this Westfield. Unfortunately, the programme doesn't indicate if a car is forced induction, so we'll try and keep you up to date with those. The John Welsh Westfield definitely is turbocharged. And the number 87, John Salthouse, is a rookie here at Doune. Started off at 70 seconds, 71.57, to all 10 seconds off that for his second run, and then got below 60 seconds with a 59.49 in his third run. He seems to be setting personal best at the moment. So learning the hill as he goes along, just up from Yorkshire. And his first year of hill climbing also. Looks like he might improve that time a bit more. 59.37 for him. His best time of the day. So, the end of that batch, and Camel Gordon improving his time there to 56.55 to be third in the class, but a full 4 seconds behind son Jody and Gary Dixon. So looking forward to tomorrow, what can we expect? We can expect one practice run in the morning, followed by a competitive timed run for the first set of class times, followed by a top 10 tin top challenge run off for the fastest tin tops, then followed by the British Hillclimb Championship run-off, which will be round 13 of the championship. Championship currently led by Matthew Ryder on 114 points, having taken 7 wins so far this year, followed by Wallace Mingy's 2 points. Wallace has the 3 wins, and then the last person to do a winner round this year, Will Hall, who won the first round of the year. Prescott is in third with 82 points. The remaining top 10 runners are Sean Gould, Trevor Willis, Shag Cottrell, Dave Wren, Alex Summers, even though he's only done a part season, Alex Coles and Paul Hames. Paul's a very up and down season for Paul. A very good weekend at Gurston Down, where there were 4 counting rounds, and that's where he scored 20 out of 21 points. So a poor weekend at Shelsley, and also had really the first round of Prescott and the Harewood. So Paul having an up and down season, and hopefully he'll do better here at Doune and get a few more points on the board. Just outside the top 10 is Jonathan Varley and David Warburton, and those are the regular runners who we see in top 10s here throughout the country. Still a few more rounds to go in the championship. We're back here at Doune in September for the second last rounds, but the next one for the runners from here is in Harewood, which is on the 5th and 6th of July, and then they go off to Channel Islands for Bully Bay and Val de Terre, come back for Whitcomb Park in Devon, then up to Midlands for Shelsley Walsh. A month later it's Prescott, followed by Doune, and finally at Lowton Park for the season finale. So 30 rounds altogether in the championship. The best 24 will count to your final scores. In the Parallel Hillclimb Cup, the British Hillclimb Cup, which is scored on a class basis and is fought over the 24 mainland rounds of the championship. So no, doesn't include the Channel Islands or Craigantlet. The current leaders, joint leaders in that, are Jonathan Varley and David Warburton with 90 points, basically 10 class wins. Closely followed by Jimmy Harris on 88, who's had 9 wins at second place and a class record. He gets an extra point for class record for the first round of the season. He's 88 points, and then Matthew Ryder in 79. Some of the top runners enter this cup, some don't. So Matthew's the top runner from class L for the over 2 litre cars. Then we have Sean Gould and Wallace Mingy's followed down the list. But Jonathan Varley currently leading that, and jointly with David Warburton on 90 points each. And we'll try and keep you up to date with how that progresses tomorrow when we're doing the competition runs. So we're into the Saloon Labour class, just a couple of cars running this afternoon in that class. I did look at we'll see Colin Graham. We've got Colin Robertson just over the line, and Mark Rennie, the two runners at the moment. Mark Rennie setting purple sectors all the way up the hill at the moment. So currently still quickest of the runners in the class. And looks like it's going to be going quicker. Number 101, Michael Bartlett, is just up the hill in his Radical, his first visit here to Doune, and that is his first run under 50 seconds. Now we're just finishing off the Scottish runners here with Tom Graham in his Megapin, and Richard Weaver on the hill in the Citroen is the first of our national runners. Addition to the programme, sharing with son Tom in the Citroen Saxo and not the Empire Weaver. They normally drive in single seaters. So we've got a bit of rain falling here now at Doune, so that may affect who decides to take their fourth practice run. Wiper going now on the Lotus Elite on the line as Kevin Dodd. Unfortunately, no Richard Andrews this weekend. He had an accident at Shelsley Walsh 2 weeks ago and has not had the car fixed yet, so just Kevin Dodd running in Class A2. John Pick in the four-wheel drive Mortaya. And Johnny Doune up the hill now, and obviously his car recovered. Oh, John Pick off the top of his bray into the gutter. Four-wheel drive didn't help him with that corner. So a bit of a wild bit of ride there for John Pick as he crosses the line in a 54.69. Which is the slowest run of today. So with the rain coming down very lightly at the moment, we'll see who decides to come out for a fourth run. Obviously, if it rains tomorrow, you need some idea of the conditions. But if it's really wet tomorrow, you won't get much. You won't learn much from this today. But Johnny Doune reaches the top. Again, he's a couple of seconds slower. Replay coming up of him down at Garden Gate. He just rubs actually outside barrier there, Johnny Doune. So slid a little bit wide. So that affected his time. Father Robert in the hill of the Morgan now. Robert Doune runs wide at the junction onto the verge, kicks up the dust. After the top of East Bray for Robert, and safely through there. Weaver in the family Citroen, heading around the last corner onto the finishing straight, and he is also a bit of a second slower than his previous run. Actually, the rain has really stopped now, I think. So the track will probably dry quite quickly. And Jonathan Williamson sets his best time of the day there. A 55.12 for Jonathan Williamson, 3/10 quicker than he was 2 runs ago. So I think he's actually pretty dry up the hill. And Archie Kerr goes across a 52.83. Which is, ironically, could be slower than his previous runs. But he is still quicker than his cousin Morgan after 4 practice runs. So Alan McDonald, we haven't talked much about Alan McDonald today. Former winner of the Manx Grand Prix on 2 wheels. Been running this force now, I think, for 3 years. Previously the driver of the amazing Mini Evo, which was basically Mitsubishi running gear with a mini body shell. But he's used this force racing car now, the ex-Rob Stevens car. And currently lying second in class to Matthew Price, who is the next driver on the hill. Alan's car force is, of course, supercharged 1300. Here's a 49.38, so that's 3.5 seconds slower than his earlier one. But Matthew Price is setting quicker times. So Matthew is setting purple sectors up to junction and over the top as well. So this is a new quickest class run. Yes, it is a 42.98 for Matthew Price. 42.98, that's a second half quicker than his earlier runs. So we're into Formula 4s now, and these 3 double drivers good time for Paul Harris, and also Becca Crocombe 68.8, so that's our slowest of the day. As Lindsay Summers approaches the finishing line, followed up by Jeff Tremlow, all the way up from Cornwall, 81 years old now, Jeff, hence number 81 on the car. Been racing this Subaru for a number of years, and has been coming to Doune forever, it seems. Never miss a meeting up here if you can help it, and that's very rarely. So loves the place, has loved it for the last 25 plus years. Simon Bainbridge in the big chrono will follow Jeff up. So no sign there of Caskill in that class. Simon Bainbridge. In the chrono. And 741 is Steve Morgan, not Tom Morgan as shown on the screen. Steve Morgan, 741. Already we're into the 1100cc single-seater class. Double drivers. Well, Steve Morgan rather going quite slowly up East Bray there. So I think he must have a problem. So they're heading up through the S's on the screen. Steve, yeah. It should be Steve. So Steve crosses the line there in 68.07, so obviously an issue there with the Morgan's car. That was the end of that batch, in fact, Steve Morgan. So I just went away for a few minutes there to try and find out in the paddock a bit of an update on a couple of cars we haven't seen this afternoon. The issue with the Warburton's car was basically broken exhaust, and the weld had gone in one of the exhaust headers, and they were ready to go home until somebody pointed out, because they thought it was something else, until somebody pointed out a change in exhaust note, and more investigation, and the cars were taken away to what was Mingy's place to be welded back up again, the exhaust, and they're just put the car back together. And so we should see David Warburton and Alan Warburton's car tomorrow, if not later on in this practice session. Unfortunately, David Tatham's car will not be seen again tomorrow. The engine is an issue with that car, means it's not going to be seen here tomorrow. So that's unfortunate for Dave, who didn't much luck here last year either. So just another runner listing from the 1100cc racing car class. And you just saw Steve Morgan have an issue with the Empire, and that seems to be a brake issue. They're trying to solve that in the paddock at the moment to see if Tom can get out for his run. But I don't think enough time. There may not be enough time for that, so we shall see what happens with Morgan's car. A quick update there, some good news, some bad news. So unfortunate for Dave Tatham, and good news for the Warburtons. So the Formula 4 cars are up there, and Jimmy Harris is into the 48s now, 48.08. That's a good one nearly 2 seconds quicker. 1 minute 42 quick, 1 second, 1.42 seconds quicker than his previous run. So, Formula 4 is still there with Jimmy Harris, obviously, and then Sarah Bosworth, Paul Harris, Lindsay Summers, Lawrence Marks, and Becca Crocombe finish the Formula 4 cars. Andrew Colborne crosses the line in the dual driven. He shares with his son Aaron. Van Diemen with his Ford engine, and Les Much back in the hills this year again with the Shure Sugden turbocharged Raptor. Just see Les back in the hills. 40.17. So Nicola Ming is coming to the line. Nicola who holds the ladies record at Chelsea Walsh in this car. And a great battle here with Olivia Cooper a couple of years ago to over the ladies' record. Which Olivia eventually won, and Olivia Cooper holds the ladies' record here at Doune with a 38.23. And now Sean Gould, currently second quickest runner here this weekend. Rainbow Hall. And towards Junction now. Not pushing it this time, just setting grey sectors, so not faster times of the class. But could be a personal quick time for Sean. So 36.17. Well, he picked that up in the end. Top half of the hill, he picked up a good time there to actually go quickest. So 36.17 for Sean Gould. A good half a second quicker than his previous run. And 0.44 quicker than Will Hall, who's currently second. So that one came out of seemingly nowhere looking at the screen, but a 36.17 for Sean Gould. So just one more batch of cars here at Doune to see today, and we've finished with the quickest cars. Well, we've had Sean Gould already going quickest, so with the rest of his class and the turbocharged 1300s to come. Jonathan Varley in the Predator. So a number of top 10 or top 12 run of contenders you will see in the next few minutes. be a bit of a delay while we have the rescue vehicle going up the hill, presumably right up to top paddock. So the rescue vehicle got up to rescue, I think it's Les Much's Raptor, and now unhooking him at the top of each spray to let him roll down. So if you're local and you fancy coming back again to Doune tomorrow, or you're watching online and you want to come to Doune tomorrow, it's £10 entry for adults, and under 16s are free, and but that's cash only for the entry fee. And the program is included in the entry fee, so £10 for entry and program. You'll see full day's hill climbing, starting from 8:30 in the morning if you come that early, all the way through to the end of the second runoff, which could be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Not bad value for £10. And the sun's now coming out here, a bit brighter again. Just as we come to the last patch of cars, with the first one coming to the line. And it's Ian Tucker in his OMS 28. Just a small engine in this car for the class. Just 1690, I think it is. Yeah, 1690 engine Ian Tucker. They're up to 2 litre car, so he's entered the British Hillclimb Cup only, not the championship. And after Ian Tucker we have the Predator. Jonathan Varley, whose father once owned the car which set the first ever fastest time of day here at Doune in 1968. And that was a Brabham BT21, which was driven at that time by Sir Nicholas Williamson. It was a championship round at the time, before the championship round began the following year. It was the first hill climb here at Doune in 1968. Jonathan Varley, 38.38. There's young Alex Coles in the supercharged Force TA. Big pressure of Garden Gate from Alex there, but foot flat to the floor, all the way up through over the meadow now, at the top of East Bray, and he runs wide onto the grass, right along East Bray to the end of the grass, so that's ruined that run. Just a bit too quick perhaps coming up to the top of East Bray, and it's a 42.91 for Alex Coles, so he won't be happy with that one. Paul Hames safely through the first bend this time. Setting some personal best for today. Yellow sector's the way up the hill. His best so far, the 39.46, and this looks a bit quicker. He's all the road at the top of the hill, 38.45. So that's a good second found there from Paul Hames. We still leads him third in class behind Alex Coles and Stuart Sugden now. Since Stuart Sugden's co-driver Les Much had to coast down the hill. I wonder if we'll see Stuart. Aaron Colburn has just had to Stop the engine, and it's been pushed back. And I think that must be a car problem. So the drive shaft for Aaron Colburn, he popped the drive shaft coming up the line in the tyre warming area. So Aaron Colburn, that's his done for the day. He'll have to come back, do a bit of overnight repairs and come back tomorrow with the car fully fettled. The Van Diemen, the next circuit racing car. I've got a replay on the screen now of Alex Cole coming out of Garden Gate and up towards the top of the hill. We'll see him on screen. And he runs wide at the top of East Bray and runs all the way along the grass. Manages to keep it in a straight line, just misses the camera at the top and cruises the rest of the way to the top. So this is Jack Cottrell on the line. So Jack having a good year in the championship this year. Coming along in 6th position. Having a battle with Dave Uren. As Dave Uren follows him up the hill. Jack Cottrell at 38.07, which is the best of the three rounds he's taken today, and he put him above Dave Uren in the practice standings. So these three, Jack Cottrell, Dave Uren and Trevor Willis, all close together here. And Davey Red's a 38.31, so that's a bit slower than his best of the day so far. Wallace Ming is next on the line. So Trevor Willis not taking his run perhaps. As he already had 3 runs. Wallace in the line, away he goes. 2.03 for the first 64 feet. Consistently quick off the line. And Wallace also setting personal best for today. He's currently 37.3 is his quickest so far. And that's a quicker one, that's a 36.65, puts him up to 3rd quickest in practice. Will Hall now just 400s ahead of Wallace now, but nearly half a second behind Sean Gould after his last practice run. So it looks like we just have a couple more cars after the line now to finish off today's practice. Will setting personal best for today as well, and that could be quicker than the 36, just a 36.39. So consolidates in 2nd position, a bit closer to Sean Gould. So the 3 big Goulds, Sean Gould, Will Hall and Wallace Mingies. Currently the only cars in the 36-second mark. As you can hear, perhaps Matt Ryder, 3 or 4 tyre warms there. Can he join the other 3 in the 36-second bracket? Oh, and that car, as it often does, something difficult to get off the line. As long as you don't cross the start line with your rear wheels, then that's fine. you get a rerun. And you win the second attempt, 2.01, that's quicker than both Will and Wallace for the first 64 feet. And he's setting the personal best now. Up towards Junction, still his personal best of the day. And he's crossed the line at 36.57. So he goes above Wallace by 800ths of a second. So that's the top 4 cars all down the 36-second bracket. And intriguingly, the 5th fastest car is Alex Coles in the 4th, followed by Jonathan Varley, Stuart Sugden, and Dave Warburton before we get the trio of Cottrell, Uren and Willis. So it could be a very exciting day tomorrow as all these different cars, different engine combinations compete against each other to win the round of the British Hillclimb Championship. And Nickel now having a late practice run, having missed out earlier on, and that I think should be the last run of the day at 4:15. So that's it, the fencing man going up the hill I think now. And then we will see you all again tomorrow for competition runs and 4 run-offs. Practice begins at 8:30, 1 more practice run, and then the competition runs, tin top run-off, British Hillclimb run-off, and then we do more class runs and 2 run-offs again after that. So goodbye from here, from Doune for today, and we'll see you all again tomorrow morning, come rain or shine.